Hello YouTube, this is Jose's Football Talk, and I just wanted to make a quick video about FC Barcelona. FC Barcelona just won the league. They won it. Well, technically they won it last week, but against Espanyol, which was honestly a good game. I was kind of concerned that we weren't gonna make it to the game for Espanyol because if Madrid lost the previous game before we had the game against Espanyol, then we technically were already champions before the Espanyol game started. But that's our city rival, and as a Barcelona fan, you want to win it at the derby. So it was a fun game, good game. It was kind of tough at first, but we won. And if I'm not mistaken, we played on Villarreal yesterday or Saturday, and I mean, watching the game, you could see that they came out and honestly, they just really didn't. You could tell they won the league already. They weren't really trying. They were like just messing around. Really not trying to, do too much. I didn't watch that last game. I did see the highlights. I honestly didn't. I already knew. As a longtime Barca fan, I already know that after they win the league, they tend to lose games and not really worry about what's left. Um, so I didn't watch it. I watched the highlights. Basically, the season's over. Most of the players are probably gonna be like especially like the players like Lamin, Dani Olmo, Gavi, Pedri, Casado. Most of the players that play for Spain and Barcelona are probably not gonna be for the last game or are gonna give it their all because I know they got a semifinal in the Nations League for Spain. I think it's June 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. So I know they're not gonna go all out in their last game. I know Lamine Yamal is probably gonna look to get another goal, especially since a lot of people are saying that he should win the Ballon d'Oro or Rafinha. So let's see how that goes. But what a great season! We almost won it all. It's unfortunate that we didn't make it to the Champions League final, but I mean, there's always next year, and I feel like this team is gonna grow. You gotta look at things and realize that this team, probably in August, no one would have thought we would have won the Copa del Rey, Supercopa, and La Liga. Nobody would have thought that we would have made it to the semifinals of the Champions League. Most of us thought that after Real Madrid got Mbappe that we were gonna get destroyed and that it was gonna be a bad season for us. But it turned out to be the opposite. It turned out to be a pretty good season, and I'm pretty happy. I enjoyed the season, the Copa del Rey. It was awesome winning the Copa del Rey. I know there was a lot of players that hadn't won the Copa del Rey yet, like Lewandowski. He's won almost everything already. He's won now that he's got the Copa del Rey, the Super Copa, the La Liga. The only thing that's missing is the Champions League. And I think next year we're gonna be these couple of years we're gonna be knocking on the door, and depending on what we get, what players we sign, we need a right back and a left back. We need we need subs for those positions. I think in a defense, I think we're pretty straight. We're good. I mean, I can't see us getting any better defenders than what we have now. Like we got what Christensen, Kubarsi, Inigo, even Kunde that could play as a center back. We have who else? Araujo, even though he messed up in the Champions League, but he could be a player that could really help us. And when it comes to other games like La Liga, Copa del Rey, or Supercopa, games like that maybe he won't be playing in Champions League anymore, but he could still help us in those sort of games. Am I missing someone else that could play? Even the young, he's played center back in the past. Who else? I know. I feel like I'm missing someone else. I'm missing another. Oh, Eddie Garcia. There you go. Eddie Garcia is also another defender we have that could also play as a right back, which he's done a really good at. But I think we do. Most importantly, I think we need a left back because after Balde was gone, we really suffered. While when Kunde got injured, Eddie Garcia did a pretty good job covering his position. But I think a left back is like really priority. It's like a priority right now. A left back and a striker because even though Lewandowski has these crazy numbers, he's like what 36, about to be 37, or 37, about to be 38. So at this point, we have to be looking for another striker, and I don't see Ferran Torres. I know he's had a good season, but he's not a Barca level striker. I don't see him. I don't know. I just don't see it. Maybe next year he'll surprise us, but I don't see it. And other than that, I'm kind of disappointed that Ansu Fati didn't get minutes on the last game against Villarreal. I think it was Villarreal, if I'm not mistaken. It was Villarreal, I think. And I was just disappointed. I want to see him play more. I think you when you see him play, you see the talent is there, and you see that maybe he's scared to get injured, or maybe he just, it's hard to see what he can give when he's not playing as much. You see the potential. You see him asking for the ball, the small amounts of minutes he get. You see him asking for it. Passing the ball around with his teammates, but he's missing that goal. I think a lot of times that when he plays, if he doesn't score, he technically has a bad game. But I think it's pretty unfair because this is a player that's barely played, and when he comes out, people are expecting him to have a hat trick every game, and it just doesn't make sense. And honestly, I don't know at this point what they're gonna do with him. I hope he stays. Maybe he lowers his wages and he could stay. I just don't see us, as the way things are right now. I don't see us spending big money on the left back, a striker, and the left winger. I just don't see it happening. You know, so it's gonna be one of those things that I think Asfati should stay, lower his wages, give him more playing time, because as you can see, um, Hansi Flick made Balde, Kunde, he made them all play all these games because he didn't want to make the subs play, and even Lewandowski because he was too afraid to lose games, and at the end it kind of backfired because in the Champions League semifinal when it mattered the most, Balde, Kunde, and Lewandowski were injured just because he didn't want to lose against a Getafe or a Valencia or you don't know Atletico Bilbao. Like, what's the point? Like, make the subs, play Ansu Fati more, play Eddie Garcia more. Whatever left back we get, play him more. Rest Lewandowski more. Hopefully, we get a new striker next season. But I think we have to fix those problems. Get a new left back, get a striker, and see what happens, But I enjoyed the season. Like I said, we were so close to the final, Champions League final. We almost got in trouble, but it is what it is. Next year, hopefully we can make it to the final, and maybe even win it. Hopefully, like I said, we're gonna be knocking on that door for the Champions League. A lot of our players are pretty experienced, even with the young age. They're really experienced. Pedri, Lamine Yamal, all the players that play for Spain that have won the Euros, that won the Nations League, that are doing big things outside of Barcelona. I feel like they're gonna go for the Champions League, and especially next year's the World Cup. So I know these players are gonna give it their all so they can make it to the national team and make it to the World Cup 100% and give it their all. So let's see what happens next year. But I really enjoyed this season. So happy for Barcelona for what they've done this season, and I'll see you again on Jose's Football Talk.